When I was a kid, I could tell what kind of night it was going to be by the sound the front door made when it closed. Some of you may know exactly what I mean. You learned to read the room before you even learned how to read a book. You got really good at watching faces, listening for a tone, feeling a shift in the air before anybody ever said a word. And nobody ever sat you down and told you that skill was going to cost you for the rest of your life unless you did something about it. So let me take you back to where I learned mine, and it might sound familiar. I grew up in a family with a lot of alcoholism and addiction. And when you grow up in a household or an environment like that, you figure out really fast that you're not really in charge of the temperature of the room. Somebody else is. Their mood runs the whole house, and you just live inside it. And I learned something that stuck with me like glue. And that was if I created conflict, if I pushed back, if I said the wrong thing or upset the wrong person, they drink. That was the consequence. Somebody would get upset and then they'd go drink over it. And then somehow it was my fault. I was the reason. My honesty, my little bit of pushback, that was the thing that set it all off. Like Taylor Swift said, "Hi, me, I'm the problem, it's me." So picture what that does to a kid. I didn't just learn that conflict was uncomfortable, I learned that conflict was dangerous. I learned that if I spoke up, a grown adult might go hurt themselves or hurt me, and then everybody would look at me like I did it, like I was the problem. And that's a crushing thing to carry, especially when you're that young. So I made a quiet deal with myself. Keep everybody calm, keep everybody happy. Don't be the reason anybody falls apart. Keep the peace, just agree. But there was another piece of it too outside the house. You see, my mom used to bring me over to my cousin's house, and I wanted to go. I really did. But part of me dreaded it because my cousins were competitive. Like, not the fun competitive, the mean competitive. And here's how it worked over there: we would play a game, and if they won, they'd beat the shit out of me. And if they lost, they'd beat the shit out of me too. So sit with that for a second. There was no version where I came out okay. Win, lose, tie, it didn't frickin' matter. The outcome was always the same. I was getting my butt kicked either way. And that's what no winning actually feels like. It's not about the game, it's what a kid's brain does with it. My brain decided really early on that it didn't matter what or how I played. The result was always me getting hurt. So why fight it? Just show up, be quiet, and take it. And one day I actually said something to my mom. I told her, "Hey, mom, I really don't want to go over there anymore." And she told me I had to. Now, she wasn't trying to hurt me. She didn't know. She had her reasons, but another wire got crossed in me that day. I learned that I didn't get a say in that one thing that was hurting me. And when a kid figures that out on top of everything else happening at home, what happens? He himself gets smaller. He stops asking. He keeps the peace so the hurt at least stays predictable. So I grew up believing a few things down in my bones. I grew up realizing that conflict meant division. If two people disagreed, I was going to get hurt. And when somebody got hurt, when somebody drank, when somebody left, I was somehow holding the blame for all of it. And when you carry that around, keeping the peace stops being polite and it becomes your survival mechanism. And that's the only thing standing between you and a total disaster. And that belief came with me into every part of my life. I'd agree with people when I didn't agree with them at all. I'd nod along to things that I thought were wrong. I would sell out my own values, my own gut, my own sense of righteousness just to keep somebody from getting upset with me. And if a person pushed, I folded every single damn time because folding felt safe. Standing my ground felt like I was going to be the reason that something bad happened, though. And then it followed me into my work. In fact, a few years back, I started putting myself out there online a little bit more, posting what I actually thought. And it didn't take long to figure out that not everybody is going to like what you have to say. Some people disagree with your beliefs, some people disagree with your opinions, and a handful of them will make sure you know about it. And the second that happened, that little kid was right back in the room. The same fear, that same freeze. Soften it, agree with them, take it down, or just don't post anything at all. And for a while, that's what happened. I stayed quiet, I shrank, I deleted my posts, I let that person's disapproval decide what role I was going to take. Now, let me get specific for a second because I want you to see this in your own day, not just in some story from my childhood, even though you probably lived a very similar childhood if you're watching this. You type out an honest text, and then you delete it and you rewrite it softer. And then you soften it again. You throw an exclamation point on it so nobody thinks you're upset. And finally, you send this watered down little version that isn't even what you meant. And make sure to include the emojis. Somebody bumps you in the store, and you're the one who says sorry. Or you get a one word reply from a friend, and now your whole afternoon is ruined because you're sure they're mad at you, and you've already rehearsed how you're going to fix the problem that probably doesn't even exist. You sit in a meeting with the right answer sitting right there in your mind, and you let somebody else say a worse version of it because speaking up felt too loud, too risky, it felt like it was too much. Somebody asks where you want to eat, what you want to watch, where you want to go. And you say, I'm good with whatever, like you always do, until people the closest to you don't even know what you actually like anymore. And honestly, half the time, neither do you. And here's the one that really gets people. You're the easygoing one all day long, agreeable, calm, no problem, happy to help. And then you get home and you snap at one person who's actually safe, your partner, your kid, because they got the only drop of honesty you had left after you gave everybody else a polished version. If a few of those just landed, I want you to know something. And this is really important. You're not doomed. You're not difficult. You're doing exactly what your mind was trained to do. Now, here's what finally started to change for me. And I say this because it will change for you too. I realize that conflict and confrontation, they're not automatically bad. They're really not. I then filed under my danger list my whole life, and that file was wrong. Because with a healthy person, disagreement is fine. You're allowed to see something differently than they do. You're allowed to see it differently. Two people can look at each other and go, yeah, we don't agree on this one, and then keep right on going. You can agree to disagree. You can change the subject. Nobody has to drink over it. Nobody has to storm off. Nobody has to get hurt. The reason so many of us lock up when things get tense is because the conflict we grow up around, it was toxic. It came from people who turned it into something ugly, something scary, something that left a mark, a lasting impression. So that's the version we learned. And we walked away assuming that was the only version there was, but it isn't. Healthy conflict is a real thing. Most of us just never got used to seeing it close, so we never knew it was on the menu. And this right here is a huge part of the work I do with people every single day. I work with people who've spent their entire lives keeping the peace. They agree with what they don't want to agree with. They swallow what they really think. They betray their own values 100 times a week just to keep the peace around them and keep everybody comfortable, and that eats at them. But because every time you compromise yourself to avoid a little discomfort, you walk away disappointed in yourself. And that disappointment turns into resentment. That resentment, it doesn't stay put. It leaks sideways into your relationships, into your mood, into the people you love, and into even your interests. You get short, you get agitated, you feel far away from your own life. And so you get smaller, you shrink. You keep your opinions to yourself, you keep your work to yourself, you keep the realest parts of you locked in a drawer because showing them might start a conflict. And that conflict was never safe. That's what you learned. So a lot of the people I work with come by this honestly. And a lot of them are adult children of alcoholics, just like me. They grew up in chaos. They grew up around addiction, in a house where speaking up meant somebody drank and somebody got blamed. And they learned at a young age that conflict and instability, it meant things are going to fall apart and it's going to land on them. So they build up these coping mechanisms to stay safe. And that's the thing. I want you to really hear this. These are coping mechanisms. You built them because at one point in your life, they protected you. When you were a kid in that house, going quiet was smart. It kept you safe. It did its job, but you're not that kid anymore. And these patterns can be updated. You can learn to disagree with someone and not feel like the whole world is about to come crashing down. You can post something. You can say a true thing. You can stop abandoning yourself to keep everybody else comfortable. And that's the work. And it's some of the most feeling work a person can ever do. So if that's you and you'd like to work with me directly, I have a program that runs about 2 or 3 months where we do exactly this kind of work together. And if you're someone who wants to learn how to do this kind of work with other people using my own blend of hypnosis and coaching, I teach all of it inside of my training. And the links to both are in the description below. So please make sure you take care of yourself and do me a favor. Stop being so easy to get along with. So easy that you disappear. Stop that. And as always, be well, do good, be true to who you are, and happy healing.